It is so great to have you with us here for the Create Conference 24. Well, welcome to session 2. I'm really excited about this. I'm not going to say anything much apart from if you're just joining us, Joy is absolutely fantastic at what she does. She works for something called the International School Project. It's a global effort, and I'm just going to drop one Easter egg in there as we're thinking about building a cohesive work culture across the world globally, and that is this. Here's the Easter egg. What does a starfish have to do with building work culture? That's all I'm going to say. Joy, I'm going to hand it over to you. Team, look for the answer. It'll be somewhere embedded in her content. And what is the session that we're going to? It is number 4. Okay.
Session 4. All right.
Great.
Just with our topic today, looking at creating a cohesive global or remote organizational culture or community. And just to begin with, the original title was just remote organizational culture. And I really added community because I think that's an important aspect of what we're going to talk about is how do you bring people together so they really feel they're a community, especially when you've got remote teams, you're working globally. How do we bring people together so they can function well? So let me just I'll kind of skip over my introduction. We got that in the first panel time. But just to give you a little more picture of kind of why is this my topic? Why do I care deeply about this? And so welcome to my world. Figuring out how to navigate in a remote and global world is not easy. So I actually have teams of volunteers in 35 countries, including the following. So I have a team in the US, all of whom are in remote locations. I have a team in Ecuador who they're school teachers. They have day jobs, but economically, they're forced to take night jobs to make ends meet. We have a team in Ukraine that is currently at war. So you've got, frequently we'll be in the middle of meetings and they'll lose electricity. The air raid siren will go off. That's one of our realities. I've got a team in Zimbabwe with extremely limited internet service. The infrastructure is really hard for them. And a team in Mongolia where only 2 of them speak English. So that's just 5 of the 35 countries. So obviously there are challenges. And when I think, okay, we'd love to bring them together to collaborate and put on a global conference. And I wonder, how in the world can we work together? So I just kind of want you to think about that situation, the challenge that we sometimes face in organizations as we go more global or where we are more remote is there are a lot of individual situations across the board. So if you're more on the corporation side in the US and maybe have some remote teams, I'm hoping that you won't face as many of those challenges, but I think as we talk about it more, we'll see we really, we do face a lot of the same challenges. So just want to start off here with you. I'd like to know how this session could help you. So if you're following along on Gnowbe, I'd like to kind of hear from you. What is your current interest in creating a cohesive remote or global organizational culture community? So are you coming from this from a business perspective, wanting to improve your training teams? Are you wanting to say, hey, how do we have our teams just connect better? Are you a nonprofit organization and want to improve your training? Maybe that connection between teams on a nonprofit or some other reason. So if you could just choose one of those and post your answer. Okay. Lovely. Now, I would love to hear from those who picked number 5. So some other reason. 3 of you said your interest in this is for something else. Could you just unmute and just share what is it that that causes you to be interested in this topic? What is your need?
I will go first. And like I mentioned a little earlier, I'm freelancing. So I don't work in a business and I'm not part of a non-profit. So I just picked some other reason. And I'm looking forward to hearing all the insights.
Lovely, Marina. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Yeah. Let me ask another question that's not on this program, and that's I see a lot of different different names and different nationalities, I'm assuming. So for those of you who are joining from other countries other than the US, I would love to know where you're coming from.
I'm dialing in from the Netherlands.
Oh, wonderful, Marina. Thank you. So Keke, I see that. That looks to me like a Finnish name. Is that correct?
Yes, it's Finnish. I'm from Finland. Yes.
Wonderful. Welcome. Who else do I see here? And then Connie, are you based in the US or are you from Europe? Schreibeis is a very good German name.
I'm based in the US, and yes, it's a very German name.
Great, great. Okay.
Correct.
So just very glad to have you all here. And I really want us to work together on this situation. I work in a nonprofit organization. And again, our volunteers are really what we're about, and getting input from them and equipping them. So everything we do is a team effort. So really would love your input as we look at our topics today. So just probably popped up on your screen on a scale of 1 to 10, how much effort are you currently putting into building a corporate culture or community in your organization? Are you saying, hey, we really need this community? So if you can just put on your stars, and then we can move on to the next one. It's a big deal to me, so I'm going to put 5 stars there. Okay, our moving on to activity. If you go back to the screen, we're going to go to activity 3. What do we mean by an organizational culture or community? And again, one of the things that I love doing is helping to equip people to become better at what they're doing. And the Gnowbe program is new to me. I'm learning how to use it. And so I thought, let's try some different things. And hopefully for you, this might be something fun that you can try. But I put a little barcode, and I'd like us to do just a word map, a word web, to talk about what would you use to describe a great organizational culture or community. When you think of those words, or organizational culture or community, what words do you think of? So if you click on that, that red link there, the Mentimeter, we're going to be able to add our words. Okay, and I'm going to add, when I think of community, I think of togetherness. I'm going to think of, what else would I think of? Maybe community is shared vision. Okay, and community, in a sense, I think of growth. Okay, and then I'm going to submit my answers. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, can you see that? Inclusiveness, mutual respect, engaging, supportive, compassion, connected, excellent. Sharing, engaged, buy-in, love that answer. Transparency, collaborative, great word. Value. Aha, fun. Absolutely. All right. So just as we're thinking about organizational culture and community, it's bringing people together. It's having a reason to do what you do, and you're doing it together. So thank you for putting your words on there. I want to look a little more on why it's so important for a remote or global organization. And a lot of reasons. I think having that kind of culture community is critical for success. And I want to look at three things that I kind of close in on, because I like to think of what's the essential. And I think for success, it's really important to have clarity of vision. You know, if we know what we're trying to achieve, if we know our objective, and we can pursue it. So whether you're a nonprofit that has some goal you're trying to achieve, whether you're an organization that's trying to grow and make a profit, having a clear focus enables people to really pursue that. And communities, they form around our shared values and experiences, but they also center us around a vision. And I think if you're trying to get people to really know what are we about, you've got to have community. That community is where you're going to learn what is it we're trying to do, and then it's constantly reinforced. We have a lot of volunteers across the world. They know what they're doing, but every time they get together, we talk about what is it we're really trying to see happen. We're able to focus them in on what we're doing, and they become really effective. We find that people are so engaged in a lot of projects, a lot of things that they give their time to. How do we help them focus in on what we're doing? And that's by bringing them together and talking about the vision. So I don't know if any of you can relate to that idea of kind of coming together, and the thing that brings you together, that's what you talk about, that's what you get them excited about. So definitely clarity of vision is enhanced by community, bringing people together. Community also fosters ownership, and Brian talked about buy-in right at the start, and it's essential for our growth. It's essential for retention of organization. Ownership, I think that affects our motivation and allows us to function. Now, that phrase up there, function without the necessity of constant direction. And let me come to that, because when we are remote or when we are global, it is really hard to give constant direction. We're constantly in situations we don't know what's going on. How do I know if the people that work with us are still aligned? How do I know if they're doing well? How do I know, if they haven't chosen to kind of take it off in a different direction? Well, I do that by knowing that they own the vision, that they're really a stakeholder. And so I find that community, bringing people together, having that sense of we're connected, we're all in this together, that really helps people develop an identity as a stakeholder. So if you want people to own it, you've got to bring them together. It also allows people to own something bigger than what they could do on their own. And I think, if you want people to dream, if you want them to set really great goals beyond their capacity, you've got to bring them together in community to know, hey, this is achievable. We're able to do this if we're working together. And so if they're on their own, remote, they're working, they kind of give effort and it wanes. I think there was just an article recently that came out about how Amazon's pulling people back in to the offices. They're no longer wanting people to be remote because it's affected their work. They're not working as well as they were. Now, in our case, we can't not be remote. We are remote. So we've got to get something that allows them to be motivated and pushing for those goals without me kind of coming alongside them and knowing where they are. I don't have that capacity to be there And so I've got to know that they own it, they get it. And of course, that's where training comes in. And we're going to come back to some of these things. Now, Nicola mentioned the starfish. And I didn't actually put it in my notes here, but there's a great concept of the starfish versus the spider. And I will throw that link into the resources bag later. But the concept is leaderless organizations. And a spider, everything comes from the head. And if you cut off the head, everything stops functioning. A starfish, on the other hand, is quite unique because if you cut off one of its prongs, one of its stars, its legs, that leg can still function. And in fact, in some of the species, it can grow a whole starfish out of that. Now, I'm not encouraging us to have people, branch off from us and leave and go do their own thing. But when you think of the idea of people being able to function, pursuing your goals, pursuing our objectives, our vision, they need to be able to do it on their own. And if you have that, the starfish has the DNA throughout its whole body that enables it to function, to do all the same processes, and it's not coming from a centralized place. So that was one of those great lessons. I love the starfish picture, is we want everyone in our organization to own the vision. So if they got cut off from us, they continue doing it. Company, you don't want them cut off from you, but you want them doing what you really are about. I'll take one more topic and then we're going to kind of come and have you have a time to reflect. The third one really affects growth, and that's community is that environment where we can grow and multiply. And I don't just use the word growth, I use the word multiplication. In a lot of organizations, when they want to grow, they go out, they do the recruiting, they're looking to add new people. And in our movements, we really believe in multiplication, and that's that we're not the ones going out finding new people. Our stakeholders are the ones, the people who are already involved. They're the best recruiters. They're the best advocates, and they inspire others. But the place that happens is usually in community. So I can have one person go out and share with someone, hey, this is what we do. We work with teachers, we support them, we encourage them, we address things that are real needs for them that they're not getting from the education department. Come join us, come join our community, and you can get equipped, you can be supported, and you can go out and help others. And so they get invited into this community. And as soon as they're in the community, they have others who are modeling and showing them exactly what they can do. So there's a huge, quick learning curve. People come in, they've got people all around them who believe in this. They're modeling it in all different ways. We don't have one person that says, this is the one way you can do this. They see 12 different people doing great things. And so their creativity really comes out. So I think community is a super way just to see that growth through multiplication. It doesn't take all of the training programs, and we certainly do have training programs. We have our core that's the same everywhere we go, but that creativity that allows it to spread. And then the mechanism from spreading is actually the community. So I give you 3 reasons. If you think back, we've got, it builds clarity of vision, it fosters ownership, and it produces growth through multiplication. So I'm going to stop talking here for a minute, and I'd like to hear from you. What are some reasons you think having a cohesive organizational culture community is important? I just gave 3. I know there are tons more. So please type into your bar here. I think, community is the best learning environment. Okay, and I'm going to post that, share that with the group, and look at our answers. So please add yours. Oh, great. Offering support and open lines of communication when you're remote is important to keep new people engaged. Absolutely. Great. Brian wrote, well-defined culture provides clarity around the mission, values, and goals. It helps them understand their role. Absolutely. Not just keeping where am I going, but they understand their role better. Press on that. Read more. Let's see. Yeah, fostering alignment and purpose. Great. Some other thoughts? Oh, great. Oh, wonderful. Well-defined culture provides clarity around the, oh, that's Brian's. Okay, come up here. Anna Marie, community is the best place for support and encouragement, encouraging the development of ideas. Absolutely. Increases job satisfaction, right? You feel part of something bigger. You're not afraid to step out. I can do it with others. I think when people know they have peers that they're comfortable with, they're more likely to reach out for help. Holly, thank you for addressing that. Things are, have really been stressful since the pandemic. A lot of mental health issues, just personal help needed, or help in knowing how do I do this? How do I grow? Great. Nicola creates a sense of ownership. We grow further together. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. I think in a sense, I'm sharing something that I think you all believe in. And I just want to take a pause and think. You've heard a couple of things. I am all about hearing something, reflecting, and then thinking, how would I actually use this? Make it practical. Just even what we've been talking about since we joined, what thought or question that we've discussed do you want to kind of come back to after the conference? So put something in here that would be something that you think, hey, I just had an idea, can't pursue it right now, but I want to come back and think about that. So maybe it was what someone shared in the group board. Maybe it's looking at the starfish book. Yep, looking at the starfish book. Okay, anyone else have something that you're thinking about pursuing? Let's move on to the next activity, and that's number 6. So we're going to jump in now. That was kind of why creating community is important and finding out its relevance for you. But now let's look at some of the challenges. So to start with, what's a faraway place that you have or you would like to visit? My husband picked Machu Picchu. Okay. And that created an interesting scenario for where I'm going with this. We're talking about how do you create community or an organizational culture when you're working with people in different places. And some of you may already have that in your work context, but if you don't, I just wanted you to kind of think through, what would this look like? What challenges would you face if you were trying to work with those people? So I'm going to share I would love to go to New Zealand. Okay. And I can imagine, I've never been there. And it's a new culture for me. I don't know anything about the people there, and how would I work with them? Okay. Ooh.
You know me, Joy. So you're off to a good start.
Oh, and Nicola, you would like to go to Switzerland. Language barriers, cultural norms, humor, terminology, communication, different work ethics, different values. Absolutely. Okay. Bora Bora. Language challenges, cultural differences, time zone differences. How to use instructional design more effectively. Yeah. Absolutely. Athens. Language barriers there. Yep. Understanding their cultural values. Absolutely. You guys are right in line. different cultures, we don't even know. What are we working with? Are they approaching this differently? Megan, you wrote with Bora Bora time zone differences. Absolutely. A lot of different factors. Brazil, great, getting a visa, even knowing that, interpretation, understanding new culture, great answers. The DR, I imagine the following challenges: language, cultural norms, habits, time zones. Yeah. Okay. Different thinking, definitely. How do the people in that place think? And let's reflect a little more on some of those challenges. And again, I want to lead us through this time, think about the challenges, and then we're going to take some time to brainstorm what could we do about them, because they are. I've grouped them here. We've got some geographical, social challenges, and I'm in activity 7 now, if you want to move on to that. But for geographical and social challenges, we've got time differences. I am up every 2 weeks at 3 a.m. for meetings. My lifestyle is not very healthy because of that. And then someone will say, hey, can we meet at 11 at night? And I've got a 3 a.m. meeting the next morning. It's just hard to navigate. Language differences. I find that sometimes we create second-class citizens because when we're trying to work on a team, someone who doesn't have language skills in the language of communication, they kind of get left out. And that is just really hard because those are valuable contributions to make. And so we have spent a lot of time trying to think, how do we get over those language barriers? We don't want anyone who doesn't speak English well to feel like they aren't as valuable as someone else. They have a lot to contribute. Cultural differences, those cause clashes often. A meeting that people show up 45 minutes late to, that's just so normal. And we have to compensate for that. We have to schedule things differently. Also, mixed messages we found in working in a lot of the Asian cultures. Initially, our partners would just always be so positive about any suggestion we would make. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And, they were answering very politely what they thought we wanted to hear. And that was just a real challenge. We had to say, we need a way to find out what you really think and feel. Your input is so valuable to us. How can we allow you to come to the table and feel that freedom? And so let me ask you all, what solution do you think we found to that? How do you think we address that of helping people come to the table? So just unmute and give me some of your thoughts of how you think we resolve that.
Maybe making the ability to give feedback anonymously.
Right. Yeah. Actually, we didn't do that. So Megan, thank you. What else? What else can you do to really allow someone to have the freedom?
I think what you've done with us, you took the time to actually get to know us before you introduced the content. You really cared about where we came from, what we were interested in. I think you modeled that really beautifully, that it creates a place of safety, which creates space for people to want to be vulnerable and share, because it creates a sense of collaboration, not just you as knowledgeable head, up the front talking a lot. So
yeah, and it really I designed the program thinking I want to grow, I want to learn in this, and I'm just thrilled that we have people from different countries. And so one of my challenges is how can I help you feel like you can unmute and join the call. I'd love your input, because you are so valuable, to bringing in perspective that I would never think of, and the culture that I come from. Maybe we don't even see that. So again, on your teams where you have different cultures, showing that valuing the person. Also, I think we mentioned this in the earlier sessions too, is it's building relationships and having those one-on-one relationships. I'm going to come back to it. One-on-one relationships with the people you work with. And if we were going to continue this, I would actually be thinking, what mechanism could I have to come back? You know, Claudia, I'd love to know, what's your situation? Where are you from? How could you really enrich our community? And taking the time to find out from each one of you who you are, where you're from, and what you can bring to the table. It just makes us a much better organization when we do that.
Joy, if I can jump in there for a second, it
Yes,
also
please.
makes me think like content can't just be a one size fits all. You know, like Jess's organization was MC Dean, like creating one pathway, one kind of set of information rather than having options where there's like learner agency, or even thinking if it's a global program and I want them to all know the same information, there's going to be different nuances in the way that I communicate to one demographic versus another, maybe different stories, maybe different examples that will connect to them differently. So it's an interesting challenge, particularly if it's remote and I'm not actually there in person to find out what they need. How do I achieve that?
Yeah. And that's, we're actually going to come to that. That comes under the instructional challenges. I mean, it is a cultural issue, but it affects then what do we do to really bring that effective learning. Emotional challenges, again.
Sorry, got about 5 minutes. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we're not getting through all the program. And I will touch that. Emotional challenges, antipathy towards online digital interaction. You know, just the reality is we often have calls like this. People are a part of the call and we're not getting to hear from them. And again, doing everything we can to overcome that. I think hesitance to be authentic with those we don't know or trust. Kind of mentioned that it's a cultural thing, but also doing activities that allow us to trust one another, to be able to take the risk of asking questions. And one of the things that I think is really important is ourselves asking questions. So people are used to hearing me, maybe as a leader in the organization, asking questions, saying, I don't know about this. What could we do? And having that vulnerability to hear from them. So instructional challenges, it's really hard. So much of the modeling and practice of new skills is important. And so there's that challenge of doing it online. How do we do that? How can I observe them and getting that feedback? That's probably more critical. I think I can demonstrate online, I can have little videos, but me watching them and then being able to give good feedback in context that isn't being filmed is really a challenge. And so we have the hybrid approach. We have to spend time with our people and see who they are. Now, let me move to the leadership challenges, the burden of responsibility for momentum. I think this, for me, I'm sitting at one end going, how do I mobilize this? How do I keep it moving? And that's very discouraging sometimes from the leadership perspective. Is it makes me realize I have to constantly be a learner. I have to overcome the barrier. I can't settle for the status quo. I want to know how to get people to interact. And then making community obligatory versus voluntary. You know, how do I have people join community and not have them feel like they're being forced to do it, because they really, they need to, the want to participate. They need to want to be engaged. So just to get some feedback here, which of these do you feel is your biggest challenge? So in the poll, just kind of click one. And I'm gonna check that.
Joy, just on that, how do you get them to be engaged if it is voluntary without a sense of you have to kind of shaking the stick at them? Like, do you have any ways that have worked to achieve that?
Well, and again, it comes back to the community is one of our principles we train, and we come at the beginning of our training with we have a 4-hour seminar that kind of gives a vision for what we do. We invite people to that, and then we invite them back to a retreat, sort of a 2.5-day retreat where they work as a team, and that's in a location, but we often try to bring people from all over their country together. And during that time, we build the relationships, and they want to be together. They feel that support. So teachers say this is the highlight of their week or month to come and be in community. So again, the community is what drives their staying involved with us. They've had a horrible day, and they will get on at 11 at night to join us because they know if I come, I'm going to get encouraged. So it's really the content, and it's the relationships with the people that they're there with.
That's good. And feedback I'm hearing as well. That's great.
Yeah. So super. Okay. About how much more time do we have?
You got 60 seconds. Sorry, hon.
Okay. You know, one of my biggest challenges is time, because relationship is so important. And let me just give you, we're gonna skip that next suggestion part. I'm gonna put a little period there and then share that with the group and then move on. But I often do programs where I put the content in there for people to come back to. And it's why I love Gnowbe. It's something that people can come back, work through it. I'm basically putting resources or materials in people's hands that we can come back and have a conversation about later. Because it takes time for people to process, and allowing them to take it, tidbit at a time and work through it, because each of these concepts that we want them to have in their hand, want them to know there's a big picture. This is where we're going. There are resources. We have a path. We have a roadmap that goes point by point, but always give them that big picture and show them that there are resources. And then we come back and individually work with them. If I can highlight just one or two, and again, on number 9, you'll have some takeaways. And for each takeaway, I gave a suggestion, really practical thing that you could try to do in that area. Making it personal is so critical. Meeting with each person on your team for a one-on-one, and then making it personal where you're asking about their lives and seeing what they would like to know about you. I know the name of almost every person that's involved in our network. I can't pronounce it often, but I know them and I've met with them, and that makes the difference because it's really personal. And then the second thing is identify key leaders and work through them. So remotely, I find out when I'm meeting with them, I find out who's the person that I think would have the most impact on the people around them. And I pour into them, I resource them, I train and equip them. The modeling's going to be challenged, but if they get it, then they can be the person that really passes it on, coming back to the starfish. So I choose who are the critical people to really model our vision, best practices, all of that. And I set them up for success because it's about them being effective, not about me being effective. So Sorry.
That was a great way to wrap, and thank you so much, Joy. There's a couple more actions in there that team you can definitely feel free to go and fill out, because I think what Joy modeled to us is something that we don't often see, and it's really interesting too. I've been put in the learner seat, and essentially Joy put herself in the facilitator seat, and I know it probes a lot of different things in each of us beyond the life of this half an hour session. So thank you so much for this, Joy. This is awesome. If you wouldn't mind,
if you can, the takeaway, I'd love to have you come back to those. Post your takeaways. That's action 12. And then when you do that, there's just a little star rating. But again, if you have questions, I think you have access to our emails, a way to connect with us. And I would love to help anyone talk through this if this is something that you'd like to dive into more. This was just an appetizer, and a lot more to do there. So thank you for your time.
thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I'll definitely be following up lots of questions. We have great discussions, don't we? The starfish analogy has stayed with me for a long time, because I apply that to the learner as well. How do we set our learners, our participants up so that we're not a spider organization, that they are reliant on us for all of the information? We actually, in a sense, equip them so they can go and train on to somebody else. That's the best kind of learning. And it puts me in the facilitator seat a little bit more, them in the driver's seat and me as a learner, because the best facilitators are still learning themselves, which Joy has so beautifully modeled for us today. So thank you so much for giving us a taste of that. We got to experience learning with you, which was amazing. I would love us just for the last 25 minutes. This really is about you guys. The last kind of little bit of time, just to kind of set you up for what I'm talking about when we say connection points. You'll see that there are 2 different sessions going on down here. This one you can do after the conference. It just, again, we're huge on feedback. Why? Because we care about transformation at Gnowbe. It's not enough for us just to know, oh, we've dumped a whole bunch of information on you. It matters more to us what you do with it next. What were the key takeaways? What's your personal next action steps? So do jump in and get going on that one. You get a certificate at the end for day 1 of completing the conference, which you can post up on LinkedIn.